Live from the Green Room Studios from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Ho, 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 ho. Everybody calm down, calm down. We got a long show to do today. 60 full minutes.
Yep.
Yes, it's going to be great. It's raining outside, so...
No, it's not. It has rained outside, but it's not raining currently, so let's just talk about that.
Oh, there's two big wrecks on 20. One on 24 and one just past 24 on Bradley Parkway.
Yes,
The other going the other way.
Traffic is not a wonderful topic. We'll avoid that at all. We're going to have some clouds in the morning and sun in the afternoon, and you will see if you go out the door that sun is rapidly approaching. We are.
What about the daughter?
That would be with a U, Josh, not with an O.
Oh.
And we're looking for a high of 62 degrees, so a beautiful day to get out and do whatever it is that's on your mind. We've got some pretty good ideas for you. We'll discuss those through the morning here, but looking at the weather, we have got... if you see, it's a lot of rain out there in the forecast, and if we got every bit of this rain that's in the forecast, we would get something like 4 inches over the next 10 days.
Wow.
And I don't know that will be the case.
We don't want
It could be more than that.
It could be?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but
Excuse me, David.
you just help yourself
Okay.
there. 47 and cloudy on Sunday, 53. Yeah. And you can see for the low temperature, 52, almost no change in temperature on Monday, and almost an inch of rain. Tuesday, 67, 61, very little change there. Half inch of rain more. Wednesday, 67, 56,
rain.
3/4 of an inch, another half on Thursday, a third of an inch on Friday, another half on Saturday, 3/4 on Sunday, another quarter on,
Are we getting the whole pie here, David?
We are. What I'm trying to say is it's going to be wet, and but what we're going to look at is to the current radar, and you can see that the storms that came through overnight and at the end of the day yesterday have now moved through this last little.
Check Philadelphia while you're there. It's going to be tomorrow.
It's going to be Philly weather.
Okay.
So, anyway.
So crappy and overcast. Rain likely.
It could be, but
cold.
hopefully not snow. Anyway, we're going to be experiencing clearing conditions as you see. This last little frontal area moves through, and the last of the precipitation for today, anyway, might be the last really dry day. Well, tomorrow doesn't look to be rainy, but it's going to be overcast. So we will proceed accordingly, and as you can see, we've got. Well, I'm going to show them 0.04 of an inch. Austin, did you clean out that little rain gauge that I asked you yesterday? I'm just curious. 2.69 for the week. So, we're whatever drought conditions we were in, we are getting out of quickly. And again, currently it's 58 degrees here in the Music City, live from the Green Room at Bates Nursery.
Yes.
The At Home Show.
Who else we got in the studio, dude?
Well, we've got you.
Well, we got me.
And we've got me.
You.
We've got Tyler right over there. Hey, Tyler. What's going on?
I'm real. I'm here.
Yeah, it was like you weren't even here last week.
Yeah.
But we still got out there on the air. Thank you to Rachel for doing a very capable job.
Bravo.
I'm very thankful for Rachel for stepping in.
That worked out wonderfully. And across the way, of course, we have Caroline Gantt, Austin Lowen. Good morning, guys. As we have a
hayfield,
a decidedly wintertime dormant look to plants for the most part. There's a little color here on our end, but it's pretty much deciduous and and grassy plants that are going to sleep. For here behind me, you know the name of that right off, Austin?
Fox Valley, I think.
That's a dwarf birch, and it's in a 15-gallon container, and it's all of about maybe four?
Possibly.
Yeah. So it's a very cool, densely branched. I have not seen that one before. So
42 inches, I'd say.
Yeah. It's so you don't really see dwarf birches. So there's that, and you've got a couple other dwarf specimens down on your end. Those are ginkgos, are they not?
They are. Really cool ginkgos.
Yes.
Heavily branched, heavily budded. They only get about, I don't know, the tag says 6x6, but they're really slow to get there. It's called American.
Merca.
Yeah. I did a worth a grow on one of them because I got one at my house. It's on a tree form, actually.
Wow.
It's a single stem up to a canopy.
That would be a gorgeous.
How long
in
have you had?
In a bush form, though.
How long
My
have you had
gosh.
that in the ground? Austin?
Only 2 years, not even 2 years,
And
two seasons.
and the head on that is how big now? Not much more than that.
Yeah, not much more than that. It's small actually. I got a little 1 gallon from Andy actually that works here with us. He bought that for me.
Oh, Andy.
And I put it in the ground like I said last year at some point. So not even 2 years old, but it's slow growing, but cool little plant. Really cool dwarf ginkgo.
Dwarf ginkgo.
Dwarf.
It's a deciduous conifer, which is always
Good
cool.
morning.
I detected an echo in here.
Echo.
I might have to get me one of these soon. I don't have one. They're so pretty. What happened to yours this fall, though, Austin?
It never went to its beautiful fall color. So ginkgos are well known for their exquisite fall color, which is yellow, like the best yellow in nature.
As gold can be in nature.
Yep. And mine didn't do it.
Up.
Great.
What'd you do wrong?
I didn't do anything wrong.
Oh,
You ain't
okay.
living right,
Mother
son.
Nature did it.
You ain't living right.
Well, maybe.
Because they had a really good year. Most of the ginkgos.
Yeah, most of the ginkgos did pretty well. Mine was so small. It's so small that it just didn't have a ton of leaves, so it got really heavily affected by the harsh cold we had. I mean, I had like 19 degrees at my house. I mean, that's cold for any plant, really, and the ginkgos were no different, and it just didn't turn color. It just after that 19-degree night, leaves went kind of
You
mushy,
just lost it.
and then they dropped. It was,
But I bet it looks cool now, like these that we have in the studio today.
That's why we brought them in.
Almost
because-
like it better without the leaves.
I mean, that's the thing. We were talking about that yesterday. This is how we decided to decorate the room today, is that we wanted to show that dormancy is cool too. There's plenty of plants that look even almost cooler whenever they're dormant, like Caroline just said. So if they don't have leaves, they still are heavily branched and really kind of gnarly. And these ginkgos have certainly like very chunky buds, which is kind of cool. And then across
There
the
we
room,
go.
we've got holly over there, deciduous holly.
Yep.
That has berries on them through the winter time, which is always cool. We got grasses that can stay up even though they're dormant. They're up and they look good. And then
Yep.
David already mentioned the birch back there with the cool peely bark and heavily branched stems. You could put Christmas lights on. We actually thought about putting Christmas lights on them. We just didn't.
we didn't, yeah.
Well, it would
Ran out of time.
It would have taken more time.
Yeah.
It would have.
And the one thing that's of interest, particularly in deciduous plants, is for those who are avid birders, and there are, of course, quite a lot of people. My wife is certainly one of those. Is that it provides good structure for birds to kind of get in there and hang out in and bunch up together and do whatever birds do when it's cold weather. Talk about the weather.
Laugh at the
I
cat
guess.
from the tree outside.
I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, that does help them out, provide some structure for them, and it creates great photo ops.
Yes, it does.
Speaking of photo ops.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, segue Caroline.
Segue Caroline. So we have Santa today, which we did talk about last week. We created a beautiful winterscape photo booth here for the holidays that you can use anytime we're open. But today from 10 to 1 and next Saturday from 10 to 1, Santa is going to be here. And we
The
do
big
have
guy himself.
the big guy himself. He will be arriving shortly. We can't wait. We're all so excited. We have an elf that's also going to be in there, Jane the elf. So come say hi to Jane. And we do have a photo, I believe, if Tyler can throw. Oh, there it is. Somebody looking so excited to be in the
Wow.
photo
That's the
booth.
Grinch, isn't it?
He is a
Wow.
snap the damn picture. If that doesn't
Yeah.
say that, I don't know what does.
But we've got AstroTurf. We've got a lovely Mylar curtain. We have a cloudy, snowy sky up
A
above.
carnivorous garden gnome.
Yes, that is
Wow.
Gregory right there.
Bridget did that. Our
Bridget.
own Bridget.
Uh-huh. She
that was
created
great.
that.
They only eat meat, right?
and lots of nice presents,
Yes.
both
Yes.
overhead and to the side.
Terry did that.
Terry did do that. Our cashiers all wrapped those
Get
presents.
well
and did a-
soon, Terry. By the
We
way,
miss you, Terry. Get well soon.
So
Everybody loves
we're having our company.
Everyone does love Terry.
We're having our company Christmas dinner this week. Yes, so we really want Terry to get well so she can join us.
It won't be a party without Terry.
It will not be the same. It will be a different party. It will be one that will. It'll be less. It'll be less structured.
Yeah. Yes.
It's an inside joke. Yeah. All right.
But I'm pumped.
So we answer questions on this program. Believe it or not, Josh, we do. We've been known to. When we do that when people ask them. And I'm going to assume that there are questions that have been asked out there. And if you want to do that in real time,
yes,
you can go out. Josh checks out our The At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates Facebook page, and so you can put your live questions there if you wish.
Mm-hmm. We're monitoring lots of social
We also
media.
have our Google Docs that's out there. If you get my weekly newsletter, I always put a link in there, so you can click on that. If you've got a question, ask away or ask towards something. I don't know. It could be away or it could be towards. I don't know.
Lateral?
It could be a sidestep question.
Yes.
So
I've been known to do that
ask
too.
whatever you wish, and of course on our Instagram and Facebook pages of Bates Nursery, check those out, and those have questions as well. And I'm guessing, Caroline, you have some questions over there.
Why, yes, we do have some questions over here. All right, what do you think about sowing seeds in winter?
Yeah.
We kind of touched on that last week, but we didn't go too in depth. So take it away.
The key is, like I've said before, is to keeping the seeds where you want them. That's the biggest key. You can certainly do it over winter. I mean, we want to mimic nature as much as we can. So, plants drop their seeds in the fall or whatever, and then they lay dormant over the winter, and then they germinate in the spring if conditions are right. So us doing the exact same thing is no different. It's just keeping them where we want them. So a lot of times wheat straw is used to put on top of seeds to kind of keep them where you want them. But it's not a bad practice at all to drop some seed over the winter. Like I said, they just lay dormant, and then if they're happy and the weather's right in the spring, they'll germinate.
Yeah, one of those what I would call almost an old wives' tale about sowing seed on top of the snow. Mm-hmm. Where do you come down on that one, Austin?
I don't mind it. I mean, I think that snow's going to melt, and it's going to give the adequate moisture to kind of soften that seed coat. That's another thing. You want to soften the seed
doctor
coat.
Believed in that practice. Boy, he did.
I mean, I'm not. I'm a fan. I'm fine
well,
with it.
The only problem of it is that it doesn't always snow here.
That's true.
So if you've got seed that you're waiting on the snow, it might not arrive.
No.
So
I hope it doesn't.
Now, and of course, the seed question is a bit of a general question. They did not say turf grass seed, or they did not say wildflower seeds, and they could be tomato seeds for that matter. So, if there are things that are going to be, tropical in nature. Yeah, you don't want to plant tomato seeds outside right now. No. The likelihood of them doing well is small.
It is. Yeah.
So
hope springs eternal, though.
Well, is there something to seeds that germinate in a compost pile versus like a raised bed? Just let's say it's left over from last season.
That happens a lot because if you just leave fruit or you throw fruit in your compost bin, which a lot of people do, those seeds will sit there, and then they've got a nice little place. It's nice and warm, in your compost pile that they typically germinate. I got a buddy that had that exact thing happened this year where a lot of pumpkins and gourds popped up in his compost bin because he threw them out last year. Happens all the time.
Now, what it is indicative of, however, is that the compost has not been turned sufficiently. Yeah. Because if you're turning it sufficiently, that heat that's going to be generated will, in fact, sterilize all the seeds that are in there. So by not turning it, you can encourage that kind of activity. But if you do turn it, it will decompose those seeds and all the other organic material in there so that you have a homogeneous blend of particulate matter and not just getting the effects of the warmth that's down
everybody's
inside.
going to really be careful about not putting that one cherry tomato as you pull the plant up to throw it in there.
Well, anytime that it's compost is lying around and it's not being turned, it's very easy.
Rotate your compost is what you're saying.
Well, that's part of the composting process. It's how nitrogen fixation can occur, is to be able to get nitrogen incorporated into...
And fixate it.
It's fixated on it, yes.
Okay.
It's all about that.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Last year we me and my family threw out a whole bunch of pumpkins on just the side of our wood line, like in the woods.
I thought maybe you just went down the road, just threw them out back in the truck.
That'd be
We
fun.
even hit a few cars.
I mean, you do live in Cheatham County, right?
If you can't beat them, cheat them, baby.
That's right.
Yep. But no, we threw some in the wood line, and we had a whole pumpkin patch. We literally had like 20 pumpkin plants this year just in the woods.
Wow.
I mean, they didn't do great because there was a whole bunch of other plants they had to compete with, but they, gave us some fruit. It's funny. Seeds are just amazing things. So, sowing seed in the wintertime is a fine practice. It'll work. Not all of them.
And while we're on the subject
Those are
of
the only
seed,
ones that they use the Velcro instead of sewing. I mean, that's you gotta be careful.
while we're on the subject of seed, why don't we talk briefly about saving seed? We're big on talking to people about harvesting, the plants that they're growing in their garden of squash, tomatoes, okra, whatever. What about people for future reference? Maybe they didn't do it this year, and if they didn't do it this year, it's already, of course, way too late. But saving some of your fruit and letting it go to seed is a really good way to extend your crops for the coming years.
Yeah, definitely, and especially if you want to be like an heirloom gardener or whatever, if you want to try to keep saving your seeds. Plants are expensive. They can get really high whenever you decide to try to do a garden in the spring. So saving any of those, especially like Josh was saying earlier, cherry tomatoes pop up. I mean, if you plant a cherry tomato, they pop
everywhere.
up like weeds all the time. So saving some of those tomatoes, letting them just go fully just rotten, and then collecting some of those seeds, keeping them in your fridge over the wintertime, and then replanting them in the spring is a very cost-effective way to get a good garden going.
And you could have your own little seed bank. If you're if you're really into prepping or whatever, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything radical about making sure that you have enough garden plants or the seed to grow those garden plants with in your stores to be able we live in a day and age where you can't say reliably that blank is going to happen, without incident. So, never a bad idea to, kind of make some preparations. I think people who are gardeners are kind of more attuned to that naturally.
Well, 3 years ago, we had a cherry tomato because that's one of the things that we grow every year.
3 years
3 years ago, we had one that we absolutely loved. 2 years in a row, we haven't been able to find it. I mean, it just hasn't.
Where was it the last time you saw it?
Well, we haven't been able. You haven't had that
that particular variety.
Yeah, that particular variety was not available.
Do you remember what variety it was?
It was red.
I'm pretty sure we've had
red ones and orange ones and yellow ones and all these other things. Not right off the top of my head. I don't remember.
Yellow Bell, by the way, is my personal favorite of the. They're a little small. They're a little pear-shaped.
I think this one was a bubblegum something. It had a cute name, but I don't remember. I've still got the tag somewhere, but we haven't been able to find it. So if we're going to harvest some of those, that is a very good idea, Austin. Just save them from year to year if you find one that you particularly like, particularly as a family. Because the kids love them.
Well, cherry tomatoes they're always good.
I don't get to even eat any of my cherry tomatoes because my kids just take them.
Because they're so good.
They're so good.
And your kids are so cute. You have to give them to them. All right, let's get on to our next question.
I think we have milked all the information there is to milk out of that one.
We talked about seeds plenty.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, one quick question here from Barbara relating to the dwarf ginkgos. How tall will those get?
Tag has said 6 by 6.
Yeah. The tag says 6 by 6. Now that's slow to get there. I mean, I'm literally 6 by 6. If I hold my arms out and I stand up tall, I'm 6 foot by 6 foot.
Squint and squeeze really hard.
I had a salesman that used to say that about his wife.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's a whole different
But that's
deal.
pretty big. 6 by 6 is pretty big. Like I said, though, they are slow. Ginkgos in general are
and
slow.
I think we're talking at least 25 years or so to get to that size, wouldn't you think?
You're probably not wrong. Seriously, 25. Like they are slow.
Now there is one thing you could do to make it happen a little faster, and that's when you plant it. Use earth mix garden.
That's
products.
a true statement, David.
And because what you get when you use Earth Mix garden products is you get the best of everything that Mother Nature has to offer. See, there's no chemical additives in Earth Mix garden products. It's the best of what nature offers, and it starts off with the compost process. We touched on that a little bit earlier. Our supernatural compost has the best of everything, and then at the end of the process, very beneficial amounts of mycorrhizal fungi, both endo and ecto, by the way.
Ecto, there you go.
As well as humic acid are added to the products. A little elemental sulfur also to help bring that pH down just a little bit. And those things combined together, all organic, give you a naturally nutritive, high organic content media to either add to your gardening efforts or to mix in with other things. Now, many of the other Earth Mix products, you might not know this, Josh.
I might not.
Are actually use supernatural as one of the key ingredients in there, be it Earth Mix Garden, or Proganics O, Earth Mix Landscape. All those products each have supernatural as a part of their mix. So when you buy those, you do get some supernatural in with those. That's how good a product that it is. So when you're thinking about planting and gardening, specifically about your landscape this time of year, Earth Mix Landscape is the product you need to be thinking about using. It is a great all-around product.
And a great Christmas present.
Yes. So we recommend you go out to all of your independent garden centers around Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. Click on the Find Earth Mix tab, and once you go there, you just scroll down the page, and there all the little pins will show up where they're all over the area. I'm not going to zoom in, but they're up in Kentucky. There's Avalon up there. There's a lot of other folks around. So you can either put in an address, and it'll give you turn-by-turn directions for the Earth Mix seller location nearest you. And remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix garden products.
I mean, I was being a bit glib, not that I ever do that.
Oh, far be it from you, Josh.
But can you think of a better, now group, I know I'm probably going to get 100% agreement in this room, a gift card or a gift certificate from any of these places, and I'm sure that in this day and age of the digital, you can go in there and you can get a gift card or a gift certificate and specify in that, for that stocking stuffer for your gardener, get some Earth Mix. I promise you, folks, it'll be a big hit.
It is a difference maker in your gardening efforts, particularly if you're one of those people who kind of says, well, I don't have luck with this or that. Earth Mix takes a lot of the luck out of it, where that you simply give plants what they need. So,
and it doesn't have to be for outside. Again, in the end, there are a lot more indoor plants that people pay attention to at Christmas time than they do outdoor plants. So
that's in
Organics Eye, hey man, you got to get you some.
It has no peat
or Paul.
The peat moss that I refer to is something that it comes out of peat bogs,
or Mary, by that way,
which are not a naturally renewable. That takes 1,000 years or whatever.
About as long to grow that ginkgo to
not quite. It takes a little longer for peat. Actually,
I love it too. I mean, I think
there is a message to what I'm saying here
somewhere in there.
I don't know exactly what it was, but
I don't know. You're talking about
if you use Proganics Eye, you will not have fungus gnat issues because there is no peat in it. No peat moss is what I'm referring to.
He was in the Who, wasn't he?
No, that's Pete Townsend.
Oh,
okay. So
it's worth repeating to get past.
All right, so let's move
fun.
along now so that we can get interrupted in some other vein. So,
all right, here we go.
Or artery.
Really tall autumn Joy Sedums, cut it down or no?
Yes.
So
Autumn
Austin
Joy
says
Sedum.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. This time of year, it kind of just goes to mush. I mean,
the
once
most
it gets cold.
bulletproof plant. If you just need to have something that you can put in a container and never do anything to, that's the one plant you actually can get away with that on. You can plant it in a container and not ever water it, not ever do anything with it, and it'll just live from year to year. It's a pretty amazing plant, but they do look mushy this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, they start to get, once they get tall like that, I mean, it's way better to just cut them back and let them regrow from the roots every year. They're going to make a nice bushy, tight plant. I've seen this plant used as a border plant along like a sidewalk edge or something, like in your bed. It makes a great little plant for that whenever you put it right up front. But like I said, cut it back because you're going to get some really nice new growth in the spring, and it's just going to look way better.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hey, we've got a question on Facebook too.
Oh,
From Sue Johnson, who is proudly displaying her badge as a anniversary follower. She wants to know, when do you divide iris and hosta plants?
Right now.
yep.
If you want to do it now, you can. If you want to wait till January or February, just anytime whenever they're dormant. That's the best way to do it. Go ahead and get that
Hard
shovel
to
in the
find
ground.
this kind of year, aren't they? If you haven't got them flagged.
Yeah. I mean, if you might see the remnants of your irises or your hosta right now, like the old leaves that have turned to mush pretty much. But yeah, if you can find them, just get that good shovel scoop down in there and get them up, get them lifted, and then just work on dividing them and plant them elsewhere.
Now, what you won't be able to determine is what color they are or anything else. So unless you have a bed that is a monoculture of a particular color, or if you have them just randomized anyway, you're going to get what you get out of those. So that's the difficulty with digging them up this time of year. Unless you're growing a full bed of only one color, you don't really know what you're going to get with certainty. It's no way to look at them and tell that I know of. Perhaps there's someone out there who has studied the nuances of iris rhizomes and understand those things, but I'm not that person.
I'm not either. I don't think that person exists. You can't tell color when they're dormant. No, I mean, you just have to kind of know.
Somebody knows.
Somebody somewhere.
But another good money-saving tip on plants is certainly dividing them. Plants that are easy, like irises and hosta. I mean, the two are the easiest perennials you can grow.
Isn't it strange that you actually multiply by dividing?
That's a good point.
Oh, wow.
One of those mathematical horticultural conundrums.
That's right.
Crazy. Okay, let's get another question in. I'm trying to get rid of Itea. Pulled them out. Will any of the remaining roots grow back? And that question is from Miriam. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning, Miriam.
The IKEA store always forgets to put the parts in there. So, I mean, that's...
Yeah.
There's always some clip or something that they never put in. So you just get rid of it.
Itea.
Oh!
Josh. Sweet Spire has a common name. Which is an excellent little plant, honestly. Very versatile. Can live in the shade.
Could be Henry's garnet.
Yes.
That's a more common cultivar.
Little Henry.
Little Henry is a very common one. Stays a little bit smaller. Excellent plant to grow. Not going to lie. I mean, excellent fall color. It's got cool stems over the wintertime. They do multiply, though, Miriam.
Can handles wet feet.
Wet feet just fine. Full sun, full shade.
That might be her problem, is that they're in a spot where they're doing really well. So well that she didn't anticipate them doing that well.
Yeah, and you certainly digging them up is the first step to getting rid of them, but yes, you might see them return. Any little root could send up another stem. I mean, Itea is crazy, like really. It makes like thickets. It sends up little sucker sprouts, and they make literally, like I said, like a little thicket of stems. And so if you did dig it up, that's good, but you can certainly see new stuff come up. So just watch it in the spring. If you see something come up and you don't want it, go ahead and dig that up too. But yeah, it can happen because it's a hardy, vigorous plant.
I had two.
Good flower?
Definitely.
Yes.
Flower.
Okay.
I had two wisteria that were growing at our home when we first purchased it that we dug out, and I completely dug them out. And now, 15 years later, I'm still having to
dig them out.
Yeah. So as completely as you can.
So is the next door neighbor.
Well, they're not quite that invasive, but when you live in an area where the soil is very fertile and very loamy, it really lends itself to invasive growth habit of certain plants, and wisteria is one of those. And
30 feet away, there'll be one come up out of the grass.
It could be.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing how much we think about plants and how many questions we get on plants and like, will they do okay? Will they be okay? Are they going to die? Are they going to live? And then you get something like Itea or wisteria, like you're talking about, and like you can't get rid of them. Yeah, I mean, it's
and
that's a photo of the plant, by the way.
Wow,
I mean, it's
gorgeous,
a really outstanding looking plant. But one of the things that people are becoming much more conscious of and aware of are plants that can be invasive, and most any plant can be planted in a situation where any invasiveness could be mitigated. Say, for instance, purple leaf winter creeper, the Euonymus coloratus. If that is in an island area in the middle of a parking lot that's very tough, and it can't jump out of it. So, and that kind of a spot, you could use it without there being concerns, but you don't want to plant it on the back side of the house that backs up to the woods because it'll just run all the way up in there. So that most plants, if they are used properly, are, there's a reason why kudzu is not available, because there is no such place for kudzu. It's extremely invasive. But other plants are less so. It does mean that you have to give some consideration as to what it's going to do out in the future.
Like a Bradford pear.
Well, that's one of those that you can use your precognitive abilities and know before you even buy it.
Don't do it.
That you should not do it. Yes. So okay. We're getting a big
All right. Next question. Can winter jasmine be planted now?
Well, it's winter, not quite. It's actually fall. But.
Feels like, it doesn't feel like winter today.
Winter jasmine. Winter jasmine's a good plant too. It just lives. It just lives very well. It's kind of ratty to me.
The very first thing that blooms.
Or whimsical. You could say that.
Whimsical. It's a great plant for like over a retaining wall. It just spills down. It's a good for a big like container outside that you don't really want to do much with. It just kind of flows. And like David said, it's one of the earliest, if not the earliest plant to bloom in the spring. So it's got these, and also too, it drops its leaves. It is deciduous, but it has green stems. So you actually still see it. Yeah, very bright green stems over the winter. So it's a good plant to use in containers and also in the ground either way. But
in rocky outcrop areas, that kind of a thing, they're wonderfully used in that. They kind of if you're familiar with cotoneaster, if you don't, for those who don't know, they tend to have that low arching branching and to stay close to the ground. They really don't have to do a whole lot to them. And they do bloom profusely, but only one time, and they're the number one thing that will flower probably about the same time. I'm trying to think of what else would be.
Maybe hellebore. How about hellebore? Maybe similar hellebore?
I think they're before hellebore.
They might even be, yeah. It kind of depends. But to answer your question, yes. Plant one now, they're fine.
Yep.
And plant them any time of year.
Okay. Azaleas planted in November got frostbite. Will they bloom in the spring?
Did they get frostbite?
It's so sad.
There's a lot. Even on our lot this year, azaleas got hit a little bit with that pretty early, very cold. I mean, David, what were we here? We got 17 one night, right?
Yeah.
So that's cold. That's very cold. And we had a lot of azaleas that had at least some tender growth on them, and they got a little frostbite as well. Now, I'm not worried about them blooming in the spring. That topmost growth is going to burn, but that's not going to affect the blooms so much. So you're going to have buds down lower that are going to still produce blooms for you. But why don't you just kind of, I know it's annoying and I know it looks bad, but kind of let it be. Let it bloom in the spring like it's going to do, and then after that, let's give it a cleanup. Go ahead and cut it back.
Because, if you go in there and start trimming on it now, you're likely are going to be trimming off buds that will open. And they might not look all that wonderful right now, but if you can just, if you have to do something, you can get out there and pick off bad-looking foliage with your hands.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Like, don't take the stems, just take the leaves,
right.
The ugly-looking leaves, and that way the stems will still produce those buds for you, so they'll still bloom.
Yep. If you're just looking for something to do.
Yeah.
Looking for projects. Okay, my olive tree dropped some leaves when I brought it inside for the winter. Cause for concern. Oh, no.
Caroline, tell them.
Tell them all about it. So it's not cause for concern. Olive trees tend to want to go kind of dormant. It's that change from going outside where they were probably way happier to bringing it into your home where the climate's entirely different. It's not getting the same lighting. The temperature's different. So a little bit of leaf shed is normal. Now, some might drop all of their leaves. It doesn't mean it's dead. It just means it went dormant. And in the spring, you can put it back outside and it should reflesh. My mom, I talked about this a while back. She had one that she brought inside. It dropped all the leaves. She kept asking me if it was dead. And I told her it wasn't, or it might be. I mean, sometimes they do die. But I said it's probably not. So she went ahead and got a new one, put it in the same pot. And then that's what was a stick that she thought was dead. That original olive tree did flesh back out. Then she had two. So no, it's not a cause for concern. It's just acclimating, but make sure you have it in the brightest spot in your home in front of a south facing window, west facing window, or you can supplement with a little bit of grow light, but don't be worried. I'm sure your olive tree will be just fine.
Now, Austin, if I remember correctly, you were gifted an olive tree to do an outdoor growing experiment with. Mm-hmm. Have you taken the time to plant that in the ground as yet? I'm just curious.
No.
Well, I can tell you.
I haven't.
I can go ahead and use my precognitive abilities and tell you what the results of this experiment will be if it continues.
If you don't.
Yeah, it's not going to make it.
Well, I will say, though, my olive tree is still kicking just fine in a black nursery pot, grown in Alabama.
I'm just saying,
I know.
It's early December.
This is
not.
We're not there yet. I know. January and February is going to be rough on this olive if I don't plant it. I get it. I haven't done it yet, but at the moment.
It might not make it anyway, but I promise you, because when you leave something, we'll just talk briefly, and I'm giving you a way to go on that, but when you have plants that are in a container above the ground, Josh, you effectively lose 2 hardiness zones.
2?
Which is not good for an olive.
Right. No. So if a plant is already
hanging
a
on.
zone 7, which is what an olive would be, right? Mm-hmm. It means you have effectively you've moved it down. You've lost 2 zones of hardiness.
So you're to like Dothan, Alabama.
Well, you know, the problem of it is you're going the other way. It's it's as though you've planted it further north in the ground.
Oh.
So what that means is it's going to freeze out a whole lot more easily. So that's
an inverse
because I'd kind of like to see if it makes it in the ground. I'm very doubtful of that, but I have no doubts it will not survive if left in a container.
You know what? I'm going to plant it.
Okay.
Tomorrow I got the day off. We're not open Sundays anymore, so you know what?
Well, not till spring anyway.
Not till spring anyway. I'm going to plant that thing.
All right.
I'm proud of you.
Way to go.
I don't know where. It's so
But you do have a customer that has one, right?
And you know, the great news is with the forecast we've got coming up, you don't even have to worry about watering it.
No, I ain't gonna water that thing.
Just put it in the
Just
ground.
put it in a hole in the ground.
But you are right, Caroline. She just made a point. I've got a customer. Peloton Don is his name. He shops out here and has been for years. He loves to ride bikes, and his name is Don. So we named him Peloton Don. And he's so cool. He lives in East Nashville. Really cool guy, nice guy. But he swears he's got a neighbor
a lot of people swear.
An olive tree that has been there for years in East Nashville. Now, East Nashville has got a little bit of a different climate just because it's a little warm zone kind of in East Nashville. In the city, you get little pockets of like where you can grow stuff where you wouldn't think you'd be able to. It's kind of like we had a question, I don't know, this was months back. We had a question where someone said that their knockout rose never went dormant and they were living in East Nashville. Well, that's because sometimes little microclimates exist in East Nashville, and this customer supposedly has an olive tree that's been in the ground for years. So I've never seen it. I don't know if it's true, but Peloton Don says it's true.
And you might have one after you plant it in years.
You don't think he's thinking of a Russian olive, do you? Which is more
Ellie Agnes?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking? No, it's not Ellie Agnes, Josh.
Okay. No, I mean what Peloton is thinking of. He's
he knows. He actually knows.
He knows his stuff.
His yard is full of plants. He has bought so much stuff from us.
Does he haul it back on his bike, or
do what?
Does he haul it back on his bicycle?
No, but he does bike up and down White Street Pike. It's one of his favorite places to bike. So
okay.
I know. Sounds a little strenuous
wild
to me, but yeah, good guy, Peloton Don. Hope you're watching.
All right.
There's a little shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to do anything to protect newly planted trees when the temperature drops? Austin said,
I mean, not really. It
we
depends
have
on the
been getting
tree.
that question a lot here at the nursery lately.
Well, I always like it when people say, should I worry about my trees that I've just planted? And I always will tell them, yes, as a matter of fact, you need to double up on your worry. The most of the trees, things that die as a result of lack of worry. So if you will double up on your worry, it's a lot more likely to completely
toss in some concern as well.
Yes, oh yes. Try to be as sincere about it as you possibly can be. Obviously, that we're being facetious there, and that's not something that in any way makes any difference. Your trees are going to be, they're trees. Mm-hmm. They're most of those are at least zone 5, probably zone 4 or 3 hardy, and that means that particularly when you've got a forecast like we have out ahead of us, where we have rain throughout the week, even the dry season that we had this past late summer. that's all forgotten now. The drought maps may not show that as yet because they always tend to run a month behind. But I promise you, we have gotten over the drought conditions.
Yeah.
So there's that. Hey. Speaking of planting, why don't we talk about coming out to Bates Nursery?
Yeah, buddy.
This is a place where if you're interested in plants, Josh.
Yes.
It's where we recommend people come to see us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whether it's grasses that tend to stay up throughout the season, or things that are completely go dormant. All these winter berries and deciduous trees and ornamental grasses that go. We have everything here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Everything is not exactly correct, but we have a whole lot more than most everybody else has. And what we have is something for every unique landscape spot that you are looking for, be it no matter what it is, if it's sun, shade, if it's wet conditions, if it's dry spot, whatever. If you're looking for something that flowers, something that just remains green year round. If you're looking to
top of the hill, bottom of the hill,
if you're looking to attract wildlife, no matter what the situation is, we've got plants to help you achieve your goals in your garden. And we have a staff here of folks. We represent some of them here in studio with us today that help you to get the right plant in the right place the first time. That's the way we try to do it here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, where we have been beautifying Nashville since 1932. And quick math tells me that's 90 years, Josh.
It's a long
which
time.
is a personal best for me and my family. 90 years is so we're grateful to have been a part of the Nashville community all these many years, and we look forward to winding this year up into the season ahead. So if you are a subscriber to my newsletter, it comes out at 3:50 on Thursday afternoon. It's always exactly
once a week.
Once a week, it's always 350 words, exactly, not 348. I don't cheat, or 362. It's 350 exactly at 3:50 on Thursday. And this week, talked about stuff. If you want to find out what stuff, you can just click on the new blog post sign there, and it was entitled December 1st because it actually did come out on December 1st. Yeah. And there's I'm going to guess that's, I don't know if that's Caroline's hand or not. But
it's mine.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell whose hand that was.
I love your nails.
We talked about some information that sometimes is helpful, sometimes it's just information. But we also have in there is talking about everything we've got. It's a sale time. So with the exclusion to tropical house plants and Japanese maples, everything we've got in the way of plants is all 20% off. That also includes all bagged earth mix garden products. So no matter what you're wanting to plant, it's a great time to save. It's a great time to get all the great things you need to go with it. Come out and see us at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, where we are conveniently located, Josh. Many people say it's 1 mile north of
They're
Briley
wrong,
Road.
though. It's closer than that.
I would say it's a mile.
Okay, you go ahead.
For practical purposes, it's just easier to say 1 mile from Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike. But one thing that's not debatable is that's just minutes from Rivergate, Opry Mills, downtown Nashville.
Memphis?
Well, it's a little further from Memphis.
Still minutes.
West Nashville.
It's
West
still
Nashville,
minutes.
right. But the point
Franklin.
of it is it's worth the drive no matter where you're coming from.
Yeah,
so if
certainly
you're
is.
coming from Memphis, it's worth the drive.
Yes.
We have people that make the trip out every year from Memphis or Knoxville or Louisville, Birmingham. People come from far and wide to see what we have here at Bates Nursery. And
Tullahoma?
One thing we've done this year, we've greatly expanded our inside shopping area. We now fully have half of our area undercover, so you can come out and shop regardless of the weather, whether it's wet or cold, or regardless. Come out and see us, and you don't have to worry about standing out in the cold drizzle here at Bates Nursery.
What's happening today, though,
well,
David Bates?
From 10 until 1, we've got Santa Claus company.
Man.
And we did get to see him. We saw Santa Claus strangely in street clothes yesterday. I almost didn't recognize him.
His Bermudas and his flip-flops?
Well, they weren't Bermudas, but he was here incognito. But he will be wearing his royal red flush uniform, whatever that is, today. He'll be out.
Royal red.
Bring your smartphone along with you, and our wonderful elf Jane will help assist in taking photographs of you and the family. However you want to set that up. It's
puppy?
all free. Bring if you care to bring your puppy out, you're welcome to do that. So anyway, come out and see us, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932, and that ran way longer than I intended to. But somehow that's
we'll have to do some make goods on that time we're down the road. But
let's bring it around to a question we've gotten from the Google form from the newsletter.
Okay.
By the way, you can subscribe to David's newsletter really easily by going to the front page of the Bates Nursery website and scrolling down a little bit and signing up on that little tile down there.
And if you want to unsubscribe, it's really easy too. You just scroll down and hit the
Why
unsubscribe.
In the world
but you won't want to do that.
But please don't mark it as spam if you've subscribed. I don't know why I let that bother me, but
it hurts your feelings.
You signed up for it. I mean, just unsubscribe, and that's fine. I get it.
So Patricia is asking, I have unsuccessfully tried hollies and cotoneaster in a long bed surrounded by a new concrete wall. The soil is quite alkaline and will remain so due to leaching from the wall. I would like to find a plant that would thrive, maintain some green throughout the year, and would complement the front of a classic bungalow home. The front beds at the sidewalk are separated by a front walk. Approximately 12 total plants needed.
Now so you're looking for plants that, when it complements the front of they'll say, "Hi, bungalow, you're looking very nice today." Is that kind of compliment?
I think so. Okay. I think they were like, "Whoa, bungalow, who are you with?"
And I'm skeptical often as to whether this problem really exists with alkalinity just because there's some concrete nearby. I mean, there is some minor effects of that, but those are easily overcome.
Could we have a new construction situation there, David Bates? It certainly sounds like it's maybe a new construction project.
So really quickly, she did come into the nursery yesterday, and I did talk to her about this problem before I handed her off to Shannon. Good morning, Shannon, one of my favorite people who works here. And it is a new build. The house is 1 year old.
I wonder how deep the topsoil is.
Probably not very deep.
And many problems that are encountered with plant material can be addressed simply by doing proper soil preparation. And earth mix landscape is one of those things that is. I mean, it's the primary.
And it can be done in bulk.
Yes, if you've got a lot to do, you can buy it in bulk. So absolutely.
But I would suggest we're going to get the shovel and we're going to dig down. And wouldn't you say, Austin, let's go at least 18 to 20 inches? Because if she likes hollies, it's going to put that big taproot down there, isn't it, Dan?
Definitely. I mean, as much, as deep as you can go.
Well,
but yeah, you're right. I mean, 18 inches is probably.
But that way we can test it and check it in a couple of places. I mean, you see how deep it is, because it may be deeper on the upside than it is on the downside, because, I mean, they don't always do the finest of grading in these situations either.
Well,
it looks good, but let's move on.
If the soil has been backfilled and has gone through a year of rains, it's gotten compacted over that period of time. So when it comes time to plant, and here's where the issue, back to that soil preparation thing, but that you don't know what was used, if anything, when they were planted previously.
Yep.
And a lot of people are of the belief that, well, I'll just put it in the ground, and it rained real good one time, so I don't have to water it.
Nope.
And so there are considerations that need to be given for the plants to have a reasonable expectation of them doing well, unless you are in Austin. I mean, I'm trying to think of it would have to be a really heavy total shade situation for the light to be an issue.
Yeah.
Cotoneasters are really more sun lovers, so they would react before the hollies would, but certainly they don't act react to low light equally. So I don't think it's that. I think it has to do something with the soil, and it is a correctable situation. Whereas you can put almost anything in there.
Well, that concrete wall the proximity to it, it's going to have. You're also going to have a footer underneath this concrete wall. It's going to extend out, and you may have a lot of gravel down in there. 2-inch, you're going to have 2-inch and up to.
It's just really hard to say. It could be a situation where that it was effectively like a poured planter that doesn't drain well. Maybe it's wet feet situation. So there's a whole lot of questions.
So pictures are going to be worth 1,000,000 words. In this situation.
They are, and also when those other plants were removed out of there, what did the root system look like? So a lot of questions. I know. But that's what we need to have in order to be able to discern what's the best way. I mean, Austin, when you're dealing with something where people have had an area that everything in there has been a problem, it takes a while to discern what the issues are and how to best attack those and offset the situation.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. And it's, a lot of times it's... it's a sun exposure thing. A lot of times that happens. You put like shade, if you think you have more shade than you do, and you get more sun and things get fried, that happens a lot. But if it's not that, and it's plants are dying, whenever you put them in there, it's usually, like y'all said, a soil thing. Like something's going on down below. If it's not happy down below, it ain't gonna be happy up top. So we need to get that figured out first.
Yep.
All right. What's a good alternative for a regular Christmas tree inside of my home? That's a fantastic question.
Get it, Caroline.
Get it, Caroline. I'm going to take this question away. So I have had a lot of people looking for something, like an alternative thing to put Christmas lights on. It doesn't have to be like your standard Christmas tree that you see everywhere.
It doesn't have to be pyramidal shape.
It doesn't. It can be a giant cactus. So that's what I do each year. I've got a very, very large candelabra cactus. It's a euphorbia. And I just string lights around it. I'll hang a couple ornaments on it, and it's great. I already have it in my home. I don't have to bring anything from outside. I don't have to move furniture because it's already in my living room. And it's fantastic. You can make, if you have a large ficus, you could make that into your Christmas tree. There's so many different options for houseplants. When you think about it, a lot of our large ficus is comparable to the price of what you would pay to get just a cut Christmas tree. Yeah. So you can bring a new houseplant home, something that's alive, decorate it for the holidays, and then keep it year after year in your home, and it will be happy. Now, I do have a plant that I bought for outside that I've decorated outside of my back door, and I'm going to plant that in the ground. So I like to keep my Christmas tree as houseplants and,
and we did touch on that last week, Austin, about putting a living tree on the front porch or on the back patio or a deck area directly where you can decorate it now and leave it up the entire holiday season without concerns about breaking dormancy or any of the other issues about just physically, they're heavy. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but bald and burlapped trees and shrubs are heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to get those in the house without scratching the floor. It's...
I just had an epiphany.
What?
Put the tree in front of the picture window on the outside instead of in front of the picture window on the inside.
There's that.
Then you could still circle the wagons, as it were, with the gifts.
Gifts right inside.
Yeah.
And if it's a nice enough Christmas morning, you could go outside with it.
Sure,
there
you could.
It is.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Epiphany.
Well, yeah.
That's what I've done.
That's what I was
Outside
saying,
my
yeah.
sliding glass door, I can see it from
I
my
think
living
that
room
ginkgo
couch
would look
and
cool.
my dining room table.
That ginkgo would look cool with some LEDs on the middle of the Christmas the table.
I love deciduous trees with lights on them. I think it's a cool look.
Yep.
The dwarf birch that's here behind me and also behind Tyler over there that would be a nice little choice.
You could use the outdoor netting lights on that, and it would be stunning.
And look at how many presents you can pile.
Oh, man.
Without ever getting into the branches. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How does mistletoe grow? That's a great Christmas question.
Mistletoe.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about mistletoe. I do too. I've got it up in a hickory tree.
It's a parasite, isn't it, folks?
It is. It's a parasitic plant. It does not have really a root system at all. It doesn't get nutrients from the earth. It gets it from trees. It steals it from trees. It taps into their vascular
little
system.
spiky things that it gets them with.
Yeah,
right?
it just taps into their stems and their vascular system, and it steals the nutrients from the tree. Now, typically, a little bit of mistletoe on a tree is not a bad thing. That's actually fine. It's not a big oak tree or whatever is not going to succumb to a little bit of mistletoe.
It doesn't grow that fast.
No,
usually.
it's very slow, and it takes a long time for mistletoe to get so bad. My dad lives in East Texas, and in East Texas, for some reason, the oak trees have a ton of mistletoe on them. I mean, it's all over the place. I see it on all sorts of trees, and there's some that are dead. They're actually still now. Do know mistletoe cannot live if the tree is dead. They look dead, but they're not. The oaks they have minimal leaves, and the mistletoe is starting to kind of take over the main plant. But here, I haven't noticed it being all that bad of an issue of, taking plants' lives or anything. But yeah, that's how they grow. They're
And what's your
parasite.
favorite method of harvesting?
Shotgun.
Shotgun's hard to beat.
12 gauge, buddy. Yeah.
I'd really go with like a 410 with a full choke, where you don't throw quite so much of
No,
a.
you got to get a little bit of volume going through there to break through that branch up there at the top.
Splatter the whole clump up.
Yeah.
Well, if it's too light of a branch, it's just going to keep falling down and getting hung up again. So you got to bring it down from the.
Yeah.
Time to think about it.
Yeah.
I did find some mistletoe in my yard yesterday after the windy
What's a
storms
windstorm?
we've had. I have tons of it at my trees. It looks great right now. All right. What are those trees that I see around town that have no leaves but red berries? Oh, sounds cute.
Trees.
Trees.
Okay. I mean, if it's a tree, like upright tree, it could be like a hawthorn tree, which you don't think of very often until they're in dormancy and they're showing their red berries. Oh, by the way, hawthorn trees are really pretty trees, y'all. They're small. They're good for little small areas. They do have spines. They do have thorns on them, so do know that. But other than that, it's a fairly slow-growing, just kind of rounded tree that's got beautiful white blooms in the spring and then followed by red berries in the wintertime. So good plant to grow if it is a tree. Now, if you're talking about something that looks a little bit more shrubby, it may be winterberry holly, which is a deciduous holly, which, as we all typically know, hollies keep their leaves through the winter times for the most part. These don't. These are deciduous hollies, and they drop their leaves, but their berries persist through the wintertime. And this is only on only on females, excuse me. We need to talk about, hollies are dioecious, so there's male and female plants. There's flowers, male flowers on one plant and female flowers on the other, and only the females will produce berries. Without a male close by, though, the females will never get pollinated and they will not have berries. So if you ever do want to come out here and get a deciduous holly, make sure you know that you're not just buying one. You're going to have to buy at least two because you need a male in the mix.
This is part of the birds and the bees
It
talk
is.
you can expect to get when you come to Bates Nursery.
I'll give you a great birds and bees talk.
Now, I did have someone call many years ago, wanted to know if we had any of those. They refer to them as Nathaniel trees. I go, Nathaniel tree. Nathaniel, I said, do you mean Washington Hawthorne by chance?
No.
Yeah, that's it. They had their people confused. Nathaniel Hawthorne is not what the tree is named.
Last of the Mohicans.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fill in the
okay.
blank, right? Charles on YouTube, thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Charles is asking or questioning or whatever, stating, I'm thinking of growing avocado trees and would like to hear your advice on successful grafting to the right rootstock for this area. Now, Charles, we don't know
which your area is.
We don't know where your area is. Now, avocados here are not going to be hardy over the winter.
Not at all. Not even on any rootstock.
So
It doesn't matter.
But that doesn't mean that you can try growing them indoors or in a greenhouse.
I have seen some make it for a number of years, but they never fruit.
Nope.
Yeah.
And that's because of the amount of dieback and damage they get every year. They really are kind of only existing from one year to the next. So, I'm a huge avocado fan.
I love them.
Un aguacate todos los días. I like an avocado every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah, me too. Huh.
But if you're here, you can grow them in pots.
Yeah, we do sell them as house plants here. I've got a couple in my greenhouse area. So if you are in Middle Tennessee, that is an option. I had one for years and then I let it die. because it.
I mean,
didn't
they're
bring
just
me
not
joy.
super happy here.
When you
just
say
not.
you let it die, did you just finally just give it permission to pass on?
I said it's time for you to go.
Okay.
Goodbye.
That's what we do.
I left
We
it
talked about
outside,
this.
let it freeze.
Yeah, that's the thing. We either just like as plant people, if you don't want to keep it anymore, you just like I'm just gonna watch it and not water it and see how long it takes.
It's kind of cool to watch. I mean, it's not cool to watch a plant die, but you do learn a lot. You see how far they can go not getting watered. You can see how cold they can get just sitting in a pot in a covered area.
It's those last agonizing days
Yeah.
that are tough.
Yeah.
And then I threw it into my compost.
All right.
Yeah, my orange tree that I've grown from seed that's about 5 years old. This year, I was just like, I'm going to slide it under my patio for the cold and not really tend to it very much. It's yellowed quite a lot, but it's still got all of its leaves. It's been it surprised me.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
So
Thanks for your question.
You might could graft that onto a Poncirus understock, and I mean, I don't know that it would. Do you think that would take, Austin? I mean,
They seem far.
they're distantly related.
Yeah, they seem far. I don't know that would take.
They're such pretty trees, though.
Avocados are pretty.
Not. Oh, and orange trees.
Oh, orange. Yeah.
No.
Yes, they are.
Hey,
Nah.
there goes
Smell
that
it.
hour.
There you go.
There goes that hour, Josh.
What hour?
That hour we just went through, it's gone.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
We're going to do it again next week.
I hope so.
Hey, come out and see Santa today.
He's here.
10 until 1.
The big guy
The
in
big
person.
Guy. Yep, he's going to be here this
Okay.
weekend, next week both. So
Bring
thanks
your camera,
thanks
take
for
advantage.
tuning in today.
Yep, and take advantage of my advice and buy gift certificates and gift cards for Earth Mix products.
Well, there you go.
You got to do it. And hey, folks, we do appreciate you joining us here from the Green Room. Hey, on any social media platform, share, like, tell the whole world, shake the dog, wake the neighbors, do whatever you got to do to get us out there because we appreciate you participating. We'll see you right here from Bates Nursery and Garden Center in the Green Room next Saturday morning from 8 until 9 Central Standard Time.